Hello and welcome to Milan for our first daily live review roundup. I'm editor Hetty Mahlich, and we're going to be talking about some brands today which really found their identity this season and really captured what each of these brands should be, what they should represent, and really had a clear audience and a sense of desirability. I'll kick off with Etro because I can already feel that I'm going to be quite gushy about this. I personally loved this show, looking at these clothes coming down the runway. One of my favourite collections I've ever seen when I've been to Fashion Week, and I've been going to Fashion Week for about 2, 3 years, 2 years probably now. But even just looking at collections online, this was kind of desirable. All of these women, so this is spring summer 24 women's wear, had a really clear sense of style, a sense of character. Marco De Vincenzo, the creative director, was looking at this idea of a sense of spirit, instinctive style, and this collection felt instinctively designed and instinctively portrayed as an outfit. Marco has been at the brand for about 7 collections now, so this is his 7th kind of offering, and this was his women's wear show. And in both how the clothes felt instinctive, as I say, it felt instinctive in the way he designs. It feels like this brand is just natural to him. It feels, I was trying to kind of verbalize this to people, and it felt like slightly what I used to experience Marnie as growing up, this kind of really amazing exercise in styling and clashing of print and pattern and texture. That's how Etro felt like to me this season. It felt like this perfectly executed just sense of character and style. When you see someone in the street and you're wondering, you look at them and you think, oh, everything about that is just, the styling is so particular and great, and not necessarily, it's not that it's not easy to copy, but you just think, God, that person has a great sense of style. And that's what I felt from this collection. It was looking at, print is so important for Etro. Marco's, done a menswear show, I think it was, where we were in a kind of factory space and we were surrounded by rolls and rolls of fabric, which was kind of a nod to the archive of Etro fabrics. And this was definitely not moving away from print at all, but it was the best exercise in kind of clashing print and texture that I've seen so far from Marco. So the print in this collection was kind of this ancient Mycenaean symbol of kind of an octopus, this ancient symbol of the octopus, and thinking about what that means. So kind of octopus as a sign of rebirth and of luck. But that was used as this kind of pattern in the collection, which the kind of swirls of kind of the octopus tentacles, if you will, kind of from a distance almost mirror that kind of classic Etro paisley, but this has kind of these underlying themes to it, which is quite kind of, that idea of mythology and kind of spirit. So that's quite a nice reading you can do into this. But, put simply, this was an amazing print which was done throughout the collection in different colorways and then layered in brilliant ways. So we either had kind of skin tight tops, some of those were done in degradé velvet, done in this print. We had palazzo pants, we had billowing capes, like the opening look. But then that would be styled with stripes. Particularly, I think it's look 17, there's a great brown and cream knitted striped cardigan layered over this octopus print in kind of green, and then she's holding a faux fur coat which is done in this kind of it looks almost like a fleur-de-lis pattern, and it's done in kind of this lime acidic metallic green layered over kind of a dark moss green as well. You've got all of these colors, all of these kind of patterns and prints clashing, but they work in kind of complete harmony. Another great exercise in styling in this collection was a halter neck, kind of silky, was it silk, kind of cotton dress, then layered over a billowing white shirt. So again, actually, if you break this apart, there's lots of separates in this collection, but actually it's about, a runway show, and when it's styled together should be an exercise in showing character and attitude that you as a consumer or as anyone watching this want to be a part of, and this show completely succeeded in that. The casting was great. There was a mix of ages. All of these women were so beautiful and powerful, and you could feel that they really felt comfortable in their looks, and it felt like they were kind of embodying this Etro woman, this Etro character. And the hair by Eugene Suleiman was amazing, kind of these kind of gel down curls down the face, with then these very kind of the makeup then to kind of complement this kind of whole look was this very kind of Italian, dark, smoky, metallic kind of sky, like nighttime sky blue eye, which kind of just, it was just perfectly styled head to toe. It all kind of came into one, and it was just really brilliant. It was definitely Marco's best collection yet. Then we're going to go kind of to the other end of the spectrum with Diesel, which is a very different kind of market. So you think of Etro, it's very much, you know, the sense that we got on this runway was the Italian woman, the stylish Italian woman, probably, you know, you could probably, you know, this will appeal to older women as well as kind of younger women as well. I'm personally looking at some of these dresses thinking, how can I get my hands on one and save up the money and invest? But then also there's older women who'll be able to see themselves in this collection. And as I say, separates that you can pull. Diesel, however, is completely different market. It's very young, it's very Gen Z focused. You think about the Diesel belt skirt from a couple of seasons ago, it's just gone viral on TikTok. It's very much for that audience. But what's so brilliant is that Glen Martens, creative director, has completely leaned into that. He's very, you know, the success of Glen and the success that Diesel has really kind of revived the revival of Diesel over the last couple of years under Glen is because they've really lent into who their audience is, and then they're not afraid to say that. And I think that's really important to be a successful brand today, is actually to know who your audience is and be honest about that. And Diesel were very honest about that this season, because they put on a free 8-hour rave with NTS Radio in this kind of big, kind of not a field, but kind of big, vast, empty industrial space. So free 8-hour rave, public audience. So there were about 7,000 people, 6,000 of those spots were saved for students. Huge 26-meter screen at the back, which projected the models onto the screen as they walked when we did have the runway show. So we kind of, what time was it? It was about 7 p.m. we were asked to arrive. And I'm not sure if the rave was like an afternoon thing or was then going on that night. But when the runway show happened, all the models came up on the screen behind, and that screen will actually be kept open all weekend for films to be screened over the weekend. So again, inviting the public in. You know, you think about Diesel's catchphrase for successful living. It's all about kind of being democratic, being fun, being, you know, it's for living, it's for having fun. And that totally feels like what Diesel is under Glen Martens. And you can see people living in it, because all of these kind of kids lined up against the metal fences to watch the show, they're all wearing the kind of ribbed Diesel top with the Diesel cutout logo. They love it, and they're like just so obsessed with it. You know, the casting, again, amazing for this show, but it wasn't like this was like a big celebrity casting. They were here for the clothes and for the brand. They're not here to kind of spot a Bella Hadid on the runway, even though people were mistakenly saying that Bella Hadid wore this, but she did not. And yeah, it's a really exciting atmosphere to be there and be surrounded by people who actually love this brand and are wearing it and can access it. Saying that in terms of access, is a huge collection, about kind of 80 pieces. What's great is all of these pieces you can see, they're probably all will be produced and put into stores. It's not, Diesel's runway shows aren't about showing kind of vast editorialized ideas, which are kind of for shoots and then will be altered and filtered down into shops. It's very much what you see is what you get, and the kids and everyone loves it. You know, Diesel is doing so well. The entire collection was kind of based on this idea of the idea of distressed fabrication, something that Glen has certainly explored in all of his collections so far, but this kind of threaded throughout the collection, whether that was the majority of the denim. Diesel kind of, that's their kind of hero product. So, you know, like denim jackets, your baggy kind of denim jeans, your denim mini skirts, your dresses, all of those things kind of distressed. But then also playing with, in other fabrications, this idea of the movie poster. So with this big screen putting movies on, the brand then played with this idea of taking either real posters and distressing them and putting them into these kind of frayed artisanal garments. Again, those frayed artisanal branded kind of sections to these collections is something that Glen has continuously done it throughout his time at Diesel. He's done these kind of sections of the artisanal, more kind of handcrafted, more elevated and more expensive pieces. But in this collection, that was kind of done in the artisanal, but also threaded through in other sections as well. So we'd have kind of pretend diesel movie posters kind of on t-shirts and things like that, kind of patterned onto kind of skirts and things. But then we also had the artisanal kind of real movie posters frayed up and used again to feed into this idea of and feed this process of upcycling and being slightly more responsible, and that feeds into kind of the kind of fabrications that are being used. Other things in this collection, you know, dégradé, dévoré, kind of denim, that kind of dégradé, dévoré effect kind of really throughout kind of the mid first section. Silhouettes, very kind of loose, lots of key utility pieces, so kind of zip up separates, lots of boiler suits. You think about boiler suits for the brave. You know, I said cargo pants. We've got jacquard knit, great section with kind of bodysuits, but then contrasting kind of thongs and bras in kind of neon colours. Hitting on the belts again, so belt bags, then used as clothes, so used as kind of a boob tube. Going throughout the collection, there's definitely a focus on accessories. Again, another access point for this vast consumer. So great boots, great kind of D bag. You know, you've got everything in this collection. It's a collection to be worn, to be sold, to be consumed, to be lived in. And all the kids there are the kids consuming it and living in it. And boy, do they do that. To finish, I want to talk about Fendi. Kind of nice circular moment with this review, talking about, you know, Marco so far at Etro has really done a brilliant job of kind of establishing himself into this family business. You know, the first creative director after the family, kind of to take on this role of designer at the house. And he's really done a good job of kind of, you know, you've got to have time to work with the archives, to work with the heritage, to build it up, and then to make it relevant for a new audience, to refresh it a bit, to liven it up, and that's definitely what Marco did. Kim Jones has similarly had a similar role, really, at Fendi. Again, an Italian family-run business. He, however, was taking over from the late Karl Lagerfeld. So he wasn't taking over from kind of a family member, but, you know, Karl was kind of part of the furniture at Fendi, had such a long kind of tenure. He was the Fendi women's wear, really. So Kim's also had this massive challenge of kind of, how do you enter a heritage brand? How do you deal with the archive? How do you deal with really, you know, how do you establish this woman? And it must be said that Kim has struggled to do that, at least from the point of kind of press looking at these collections. I think it's widely agreed that really Kim is a brilliant, kind of flawless menswear designer. He's a great product designer. He's an artist. He's very clever, and he is also very thoughtful. He never does anything carelessly, and everything has real thought and intellect behind it. However, that being said, with all of that, it has felt like his women's wear collections haven't really hit the mark. It's been a huge kind of focus on. It's just felt like there's been a kind of a lot going on, whether that be kind of the kind of accessories around the brand, really focusing on the baguette bag, which Sylvia designed. I'm really thinking about the Fendi show that they did in New York, with Marc Jacobs. You know, it's been a lot of kind of silks and satins, which just have felt like this, trying to use a kind of feminine fabrication and material, a feminine kind of material, and a very luxury looking material, for want of actually not looking at silhouette. And it's felt like it's lacked an identity, a rigor, and it has felt cheap at times, I must say. But this collection really felt tight. It felt considered. We went to the Fendi HQ, which is where the shows in Milan are always held. The show space was completely white. There was a massive baguette bag as part of the set, but it was all white, and it was kind of like this was kind of the blank canvas behind, and then the clothes were the focus. And this collection was really kind of about this kind of silhouette, knitwear, a lot of kind of knitted kind of dresses and skirts. Again, this kind of focus on form, but this really kind of somber, clean silhouette. The music was very, very kind of somber. You know, I wondered, oh, is it somber music because is it going to be his last collection? And actually, no, this felt like a real fresh start for Kim under women's wear. It feels like he's explored lots of different avenues with the women's wear, and actually this season he's really coming in with full force and a very clear idea of the Fendi woman. Kind of, you could feel this, the woman who would be looking at these clothes and desiring these clothes, and you could see these clothes kind of going out onto the street. I think it's a good idea to move away from those silks and those satins to focus on the kind of the knitwear. Also, again, that focuses on this idea of kind of craft and factory, which is so important to the Fendi brand. You know, they recently opened the Fendi factory just outside of Florence. They had a special show for Pitti Uomo there. You know, this collection felt like it was focused on those tenets of kind of actual craft, you know, these beautiful kind of knitted dresses. You still had these ideas of kind of the logo mania, which Fendi has really, you know, those are the pieces you do kind of see on the street with Fendi, are kind of the kind of Fendi Versace stuff, the Fendi Marc Jacobs stuff, and the interlocking kind of the F kind of, you know, it just, that's kind of what we were seeing a lot of, but actually this was done in a really clever way. There were these dresses which were kind of, and pieces which were all about the interlocking F logo, and it reminded me instantly of the 1965 Saint Laurent dress, which Yves Saint Laurent did, the Mondrian dress. So based on that kind of postmodernism movement and those kind of geometric Mondrian paintings. And that was, this was kind of a play on that, but it felt, when you're looking at these as full looks, it felt tight, it felt clever. You know, clever little exercises in styling by Ellie Grace Cumming. You know, little cardigans tied over the chest, kind of on top of kind of a lemon yellow cami top. You know, it was about kind of styling and silhouette and less about the accessories. It was, you know, to summarize this, it's less about logos, it's less about lots of different fabrications and adornments. You know, let's leave that in the couture. It was about pulling back, looking at a really clean, beautiful silhouette, which is kind of dresses, skirts, tops, with these little tweaks of clever stylings, bringing the color palette down. So looking at your kind of chocolate browns, deep oranges, beautiful beiges, lemon yellows. You know, it was a better meditation on color as well. And really just, this felt like not only a palette cleanser, but also a really, you know, not an in-between course. This felt like something you want to actually stick on and see it kind of developed and progressed upon. So that, bravo, Come Jones, because this was actually a really, really great collection. And I think, you know, it's not my favorite collection of Milan. I don't think it's one that will go, it's not like this is going to kind of define the Fendi woman forever and as a massive kind of moment for the Fendi woman. And I don't think this is going to go down in kind of fashion history books, but I think it's a good stepping stone to get Kim there in terms of defining really what does the Fendi woman look like and what does she want to wear. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back soon.